Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is my third video. This was not a planned one, but recently a close friend of mine traveled from Kochi to Canada via the Vande Bharat Mission flights. So I thought sharing his experience with you might help you out if you guys are planning for an international travel. His name is Cratto and we'll be doing a Zoom call with him, and I'll be asking few questions about his travel and his quarantine plans, etc. So I hope this helps out at least a few people. I would like to say that I'm not encouraging or discouraging anyone to use the VBM flights. But if anyone has the necessity to travel right now, I thought this experience might somehow clear few of your doubts about the travel as of now. So let's move on to the Zoom call. Hi Cratto, thank you for
Hello.
joining me in this Zoom call to share your experience of your international travel to Canada recently. I think this will help a lot of people who are kind of
Sure. I'm happy
confused.
to help and thank you.
Yes, thanks. So, how do you feel right now?
Okay.
How are you? How is
Okay.
things in Canada?
I'm feeling kind of relieved because it was tense moments when I was back in India. The flights were cancelled and I was pretty tense about when the international flights will resume. So the Vande Bharat mission flights was actually a relief. So I didn't wait. I took the first chance and I flew out. So when I'm here, I'm feeling happy. More than happy, I'm relieved so that I please reach here finally.
Yes, actually, after a lot of hard work, this is the final step.
Yes, yes. So that's a
Okay.
big relief.
Okay. So, Prato, I have around 10 or 11 questions to ask you, which I think
Sure,
would help a lot of people.
sure.
So,
Happy to help.
moving on,
Yes,
firstly,
sure.
when did you receive your COPR and when was the visa expiring?
My COPR was issued on March 16th.
Okay.
So luckily, it was March 16th because
Yes,
March 18th is a travel exemption date.
correct.
So I was very lucky to receive it on March 16th. And regarding the expiry, I had pretty much time. My expiry is on January 25th next year, 2021.
Oh, okay.
So I have a year
Okay.
of expiry period, which was not a concern, but good that it was issued on March 16th.
Yes, correct. Because March 18th was the
18th, yes.
correct,
The last day to for travel exemption.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is how did you book your flights? Like from Kochi to Toronto, what was your schedule like?
Yeah, so I was keeping a tab on Air India. I was following this Air India Twitter account.
Okay,
So when this announcement for VBM Phase 3 came in, I immediately because it was I was part of few social media groups also. So
okay,
I was pretty well aware of the time in which the Air India will start selling the tickets. So I didn't waste any time. Immediately on that exact moment, I booked the direct flight from Delhi to Toronto in Air India website. Okay. So
okay,
after booking the Delhi to Toronto flight, I looked for a domestic flight from Kochi to Delhi because domestic operations were already in
correct,
place.
correct.
So immediately when it took some time to book the ticket because the Air India website was very slow as usual
Hmm.
because there was a lot of
Too
traffic.
much traffic.
Yeah, there was a lot of traffic and it took me around 2.5 hours of waiting to get this
Okay,
ticket booked. So I was very
okay,
happy once the ticket got confirmed, and immediately when I got the ticket confirmed, then I booked for a domestic flight.
okay,
Okay,
all right.
and this domestic flight, I faced a lot of difficulties in booking the domestic flight also because the first two domestic flights which I booked to connect me from Kochi to Delhi, it got rescheduled. So I
Okay,
haven't yet got the refund for those two domestic flights.
okay.
So I flew from Kochi to Delhi in the third flight which I booked.
And that was which one? Which
That was
airlines?
SpiceJet. That was
SpiceJet. Okay,
SpiceJet. So I booked in
okay,
Indigo first, which got rescheduled. I had to cancel it. Then I booked on Vistara. It also got
okay,
rescheduled. I had to cancel it. Then the third
okay,
flight was SpiceJet.
okay. And from Delhi to Toronto, it was Air Canada?
No, it was Air India.
Air India itself.
Yeah, it
Okay,
was Air India.
okay. And what was the cost for the VBM flight that you took?
Okay, for VBM flights, it cost me 1,09,000 from
Okay,
Delhi to Toronto.
okay,
Yeah, it was a
okay,
common rate. I think it was a government fixed rate. So I
Yeah,
think Air
correct.
India didn't have much role on that. It was a government fixed rate. It was
Okay.
1,09,000 for all the dates.
Okay. Fine. And then, how was your experience in Kochi, Delhi, and Toronto airports?
Kochi airport was pretty much fine. It was not very crowded.
Okay.
It was almost empty because
Mm.
there were not many flights. Even the domestic flights, there were not many flights flying from Kochi airport, and the facilities of and the sanitization process of Kochi was also pretty good.
Okay.
There was proper social distancing protocols practiced in Kochi, so the experience in Kochi was pretty much good. One reason was airport was not very crowded. That was one thing, and the management in Kochi was also pretty good. The
Okay.
sanitization, then temperature check, the health form check, everything was pretty good and pretty fast. But in
Okay.
Delhi, the experience was totally different. Delhi was somewhat crowded,
Okay.
and for boarding the international flights, there was a long queue. Long queue, long queue means it was a pretty long queue. There were around 50, 60 people in the queue,
Okay.
and before boarding before doing the check-in, we had to fill a health form, a
Okay.
declaration. So it was kind of a mess there because people were not following the queue.
Mm.
The Air India staffs were running here and there giving the declaration forms, so people were standing here and there and filling the form. So
Okay.
it was proper mismanagement in Delhi,
Okay.
and it was a big queue and it was a total mess. And after long hours of waiting, I could do the immigration in the immigration counter. Also, there was a long queue. So
Mm.
Delhi experience was very bad.
Mm.
It took hours to do the boarding and security check-in.
Okay.
Mm, then even in that security gates and all, there was no proper social distancing. People were crowded and
Okay.
there was a total mess out there. And even when the
Okay.
flights were boarded, during the boarding time, it was a total mismanagement. People were
Mm.
crowding, people were standing in big crowd, and even when the Air India officials were giving instructions, people were not following it.
Mm. Okay.
So it was a mess in Delhi airport. Then
Okay.
when I reached Toronto airport, the deboarding was pretty slow because there were only deboarding 30 people uh, at a time. It was
Okay.
slow,
Okay.
but the process was pretty much smooth. The immigration process was smooth.
Mm.
Uh, they didn't ask too many questions. They were I think they were in a rush to complete the process. So
Mm-hmm.
there were no many questions. The process was slow, but it was smooth. It was
Okay.
managed well.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
overall, it was manageable.
yeah, it was manageable. The only
Okay.
issue was in Delhi airport, but it was a manageable experience. Not
Okay.
very bad.
Okay. So, what were the precautionary items that the airline provided before boarding the flight?
Yeah, both in the domestic flight and the international flight, I got a middle seat. So all
Okay.
passengers who were traveling in the middle seat were supposed to wear a PPE kit, then a face shield and a mask. So
Okay.
just before boarding the flight, they gave us a PPE kit, the face shield and mask. I had to
Okay.
wear it. So
Okay.
during the entire journey, I was wearing a PPE kit and a face shield and a mask.
Okay. So this is just for the middle
Middle seat
seat.
passengers, yes,
Okay.
yes, only for the middle seat. All passengers are supposed to wear a face shield, but the
Okay.
PPE kit is only worn by the middle seat passengers.
Okay. All right. All right. Anything additional that you carried, like sanitizer? Obviously, you
I
must have
I
had.
carried sanitize. I carried sanitizers and a mask for myself,
Okay.
but the airport authorities were insisting on wearing their mask. They
Okay.
asked us to remove our mask and wear their mask.
Okay. Fine. And in the flight, how was it? It was around how many hours was it from
15
Delhi?
hours, 15 hours,
15
and
hours.
it was really a terrible experience.
Okay.
But I
With
didn't
the
mind it
mask
because
and
I was,
everything.
yes, the PPE kit, the mask, the cooling facilities, the inside airplane cooling facilities were not that good. It was very hot,
Hmm.
and the space was cramped,
Hmm.
and it was a very difficult experience because there was no in-flight entertainment and all. The
Correct.
entire 15 hours, we'll have to look at the window or the front seat and just sit like that. And the
Yes.
food was very bad,
Hmm. We
because
heard that.
yeah, there was no in-flight meal services. They had
Okay.
packed the food in a plastic cover and they had kept it in the seat. So
Okay.
whenever we feel hungry, we had to take it out from that plastic cover and eat. And the food was very
Okay.
bad. It was
Oh.
very low quality food.
Okay.
So I I ate very little because I was not able to eat it because I ate very little. It was not good.
Mm.
So in-flight experience was very bad. The Air India experience was very bad.
Mm.
Cramped space,
Mm.
very hot, and very bad food. But
Mm.
reaching here was a primary aim, so I I just
Ignored
evaded
all of that.
ignored all that. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, once you reached Toronto airport, at the
Yeah.
immigration, what all documents did they ask for?
So there will be two gates. First is the border security. That's a customs gate.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
so there we'll have to submit a declaration that includes our goods to follow, the goods which we are carrying, the amount of currency which we are holding now.
Mm.
So all that has to be declared in that customs counter. Okay,
Okay.
so prior to landing, prior to deboarding, they'll give us a form, a declaration form. We'll have to fill all those details. We'll have to tick box the goods which we are carrying, and we'll have to submit that document there in the customs counter. Uh, in my case, I was not carrying much goods. I was not carrying currency more than 10,000. So there was no many questions. They
Mm.
just asked, what is your status here? Then
Mm.
they asked whether is there any goods to follow. So I
Okay.
had nothing. I said I'm landing today with my COPR,
Mm.
and I had no
Mm.
goods to follow. So it was an
Okay.
easy process there. And
Okay.
immediately after the customs counter, we go to the immigration counter.
Okay.
Immigration counter is where they check our COPR, and they take an address for sending our PR card,
Mm.
and they do the confirmation of permanent residency stamp on our COPR, and they'll stamp it in our passport. So that's where we become a permanent resident.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Got
the
it.
entire process, the entire immigration process took around 10 minutes for me. In my case,
Okay.
since I had no accompanying person,
Yeah.
I had no accompanying goods, I had no goods to follow. So my case,
Okay.
it took just 10 minutes.
Okay. Okay. And we have been asked to bring a quarantine plan, right? So did they ask
Yes,
anything
yes,
specific
yes,
about where you're going?
yes. They didn't ask specific about where I'm going because in the declaration we are actually mentioning the address in which we are quarantined,
Okay.
doing the
Okay.
quarantine. So they just asked whose address is this and
Hmm.
how you're planning to go there. So I
Okay.
said I had booked an Airbnb. So I told
Okay.
them this is an Airbnb. I'm self quarantining, doing a self quarantine in this Airbnb address, and they asked how we
Okay.
are planning to go there. I said I'll take a cab. That's it.
Okay.
No other questions.
All right. All right. And how about the SIN and bank account and all that? Can you do it right
Sin
now or only after the quarantine?
Yeah, the challenge here is earlier we could have applied SIN in the airport itself because there were
Correct.
Service Canada centers in airport itself, but now the Service
Correct.
Canada centers are closed,
Correct.
so we can't apply SIN from the airport.
Hmm.
Another option is to apply SIN through online. Okay, in the CIC
Okay.
website, there's an option to apply SIN online,
Okay.
but one challenge for that is we should have an address proof with our name in it while we applying for SIN online.
Okay.
Hello,
Yeah. You're
can you hear
audible.
me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my internet connection is slightly unstable. Okay.
Huh.
So what I did is I used my Airbnb receipt. The Airbnb receipt has the address and my name in it. I used it to apply for SIN online. I
Okay.
have not yet received it because I've
Hmm.
landed just 4 days back. I've not yet received it.
Correct.
But many of the Airbnb owners discourage applying using that receipt. I think most of the so another option for that is most of you might have purchased insurance, right?
Correct.
So the insurance might have your friend's address or relative's address in it, right? The
Mm-hmm.
insurance will also have your name. That can be
Correct.
used as an address proof.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And deciding on which Airbnb to book. So did you talk to the host before booking or something
Yes,
like that?
yes, yes, yes. So
Okay.
I spoke with few hosts, and few were not ready to accept
Correct.
me for doing the self quarantine. And
Okay.
the Airbnb in which I'm staying right now, he was okay with it. He just asked me to do proper precautions. He asked me to sanitize the washroom every time after use.
Hmm.
He asked me to use mask coming out of the room. Like if for
Hmm.
any emergencies, if I come out of the room, he asked me to wear the mask. So he was okay with quarantine. So after getting a confirmation from him, only I did the booking.
Booking.
So I always it is recommended to talk with the host once before making the
For
booking.
booking.
Fine, fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And finally, you said you took a cab from the airport, right? So
Yes,
you booked it
yes.
through Uber or something, or
No, no. I was planning to book it through Lyft. I was about to
okay,
book it through Lyft. While I was checking, there was a taxi driver. A local taxi driver besides the airport. So he came in
okay,
and asked, "Where would you like to go?" So I
okay,
felt it very comfortable. So he immediately gave me the rates and all,
okay,
and the cab was also pretty good. So I found it comfortable. So I just used that cab.
okay,
So I didn't use Lyft or Uber.
okay. So that's all. And overall, how was
Okay.
it? Was it worth it?
Of course, coming to Canada is worth it, and even if it is taking a little pain, even if it is tiresome, the end result is reaching here. So it
Correct,
was a really worthy experience. So if the flights are further delayed, I would recommend everyone to take the VBM flight and reach here as fast as possible. And the difference and the comfort, you'll feel it once you're here.
correct,
Uh,
correct, correct,
yeah, the moment you land here, you'll feel the difference of comfort. So
correct, correct.
it is really worth it. All the pain
Okay,
which I took to reach here, it's worth it at the end of the day.
correct, correct. Great, Cratto. So thank you so much for sparing some time
Okay.
in sharing your
Yeah.
experiences.
Thank you so much for giving the call. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
giving the
Thank
opportunity.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Then.
Have fun. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Okay. Bye. With this, we come to the end of this video. I hope it's been useful to all of you. So do subscribe to my channel, like and share. I'll see you in my next one.